Hello everyone, this is Mr. Osama. How are you? Math Department, Sunrise International School. Today inshallah we're going to talk about the chapter 8 lesson 3 for grade 7 algebra readiness. The topic is slope and y-intercept. Before we start, we need to understand what is the definition of the slope. How can we get the slope of the line? If you given a line that's drawn in the xy coordinates and we need to ask you what is the slope of this line, we need to get back to the definition which we had before, that the slope can be obtained by the vertical change over the horizontal change, or a change in y-axis over the change of x-axis, which one we call it the rise over run. So the ratio between rise over run is the same as the slope of the graphed line. How can we get this? It's better to have an example to make it easy for you. Open up your book, a student book, and stick with the example number 1 has been illustrated on the screen right now. So the A and B find out the slope of the line by using the rise over run. To find out the slope of the line by using the rise over run, we have to identify two or highlight 2 points belongs to the line and find out how many units rise and how many units run and get the ratio, and this ratio will be the slope of the given line. So in the question number example number 1, question A, find out the slope of the line. The highlighted points here is -2 and 4, the blue one, and the purple one is -6 and 2. The rise is how many units up, and the run how many units right or left. So right now I'm gonna start off from the point at -6 and 2. I'm gonna go up for how many units? It's 2 units, and then I'm gonna move to the right. How many units? Is 4 units according to the given sketch. Once you get the ratio between the rise over the run, which is 2 over 4, in a simplest form will be 1 over 2. This will be the slope of the given line. If we do the same thing with the other line here, which is number B, the line has been graphed in the front of your eyes. I highlighted 2 points. The point to the blue one is 3 and 4, and the purple one is 5 and 1. So here I'm gonna start off from the point 3 and 4. I'm gonna run how many units to the right? 2 units, and then go down for the right 3 units down. So down means negative and up means positive. Right means positive and left means negative. So you have to identify this. So the slope would be rise over run, so it's going to be -3 over 2. Somebody will ask me what is the difference between the 2 slopes in these cases, which is A and B. I'm going to give you a very important note here. If the line form an obtuse angle with the positive part of the x-axis, that means the slope of the line will be negative, and this is matching with the question number B. And if the line forming an acute angle with the positive part of the x-axis, what does it mean? It means that the slope of the line will be positive, and this is matched with the question number A. So in general, we can identify the sign of the slope by the way we rise up or the way we rise down, or we run left or right. If we rise up, positive. If we rise down, negative value. If we run right, positive. If we run left, negative. And this is matching what we call if the line forming an obtuse or an acute angle with the x-axis, to find out the correct slope. We're done with the first part of our lesson, which is how to find out the slope by the way the rise over run from the graph. We need to move to the second part of our lesson, which is finding out the slope by using the coordinates, which is points has been given to you. How to get the slope by using 2 points of the line. That's 2 points belongs to the line. We need to abide by the formula. The slope equals the difference in y coordinates over the difference in x coordinates, or the change in y over the change on x. So if I give you 2 points, for example P1 and P2, P1 is x1 y1 and P2 is x2 y2, the slope would be obtained from this is 2 points by using the mathematical formula. Slope equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And this is how to get the slope from the coordinates, or by using the given points in a coordinates form. We need to have some special cases for the slope of the lines. The first special case here is if the line is parallel to x-axis, and the second case if the line is parallel to y-axis. If the line is parallel to x-axis, the slope always be 0, and if the line is parallel to y-axis, the slope always be undefined. The slope always undefined. And this is when matching with the two exercises in front of your eyes now. The first one, the line is parallel to x-axis, which has 2 points, -3 and 2, and the other point 1 and 2, and this slope here is going to be 0. And in the second graph, the line is parallel to the y-axis, and the 2 points is -4 and 1, -4 and 3, and then the slope is undefined because the denominator is 0 and you cannot divide by 0. So the divisibility by 0 is undefined. It's undefined. So, and this is both are very important. Please try to memorize it very well. Then we need to have an example for finding out the slope by using the coordinates. I'm going to give you an example here, example number 2, using the coordinates to find out the slope. Find out the slope of the line through the points -2 and 6, and the other point, which is D, is 4 and 3. I have to write down the mathematical formula because this is very important. The mathematical formula of the slope equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, which is illustrated here, the differences in y coordinates over the differences in the x coordinates. So I'm going to start off with this. So the y2 is going to be 3, the y1 will be 6, the x1 will be -2, the x2 will be 4. So I'm going to abide by the mathematical formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, which is 3 minus 6 over 4 minus parentheses -2, and the final result will be -1 over 2. And this is how to get the slope of the line by using the coordinates, or by using the slope formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And this is very easy, and we had this before a lot. So it's gonna be a nice way to get the slope of the line by using the coordinates. The next part of our lesson is how to identify the slope-intercept form, which is the main topic in this session. We need to identify this. The slope-intercept form has a mathematical formula which states that y equals mx plus b. We need to identify each part of this is algebraic expression. The first, y equals mx plus b. Y and x are variables. Y and x are variables, and y specifically is independent variable, and x is independent variable. Y is dependent. Y is dependent variable, and x is independent variable. M here stands for the slope of the line, and b stands for the y-intercept part. The y-intercept part. So the standard mathematical formula for the y-intercept form, y equal mx plus b, and yx are variables. M stands for the slope of the line, b stands for the y-intercept form. Once we're done with the definition of the y-intercept form, which is y equal mx plus b, we need to have an example to apply this on the xy coordinates. How to graph the line by using this is mathematical formula, which contains the y-intercept part and the slope. To understand this, there is an example here. It's easy. Here is the graph of y equal -1 over 2x plus 3. We need to know how to graph the line in front of your eyes here by using the mathematical formula, which is y equal -1 over 2x plus 3. First of all, we need to identify the y-intercept, which is 3 units. Here 3 means positive 3. That means I have to go up, so I have to highlight the intersection point, the first intersection point, which is 0 and 3. So the first point for graphing the line comes out from the y-intercept part, which is 0 and 3. The second part of the graph is to identify the other point. How can I identify this other point? By using the slope of the line. Slope of the line here, I have to go back to the general equation here, -1 over 2. So -1 over 2, this is the slope. I'm gonna use the way which we had before, the rise over run, to identify the other point to graph the line. So here's the slope of the line, which is -1 over 2. I have to start off from the end, from the point which we had before, which is 0 and 3. Goes down how many units? 1 unit, and then move to the right 2 units. So again, I'm gonna rise down 1 unit and then run to the right 2 units. This will be the second point to graph the line. But here in the book, the author here, he converted, maximized it, the -1/2 to -2/4, because they have the same, both are the same fraction, but why he did this? The author did this to find out a point on the xy coordinates is going to be easy for you to identify it and line it with the other point. So anyway, if you use -1/2 or -2/4 or -3/6, any fraction the same as -1/2, it will give you the same result. Will give you the same results. So the procedures of graphing the line by using the general equation without making table of values. First of all, step number 1, you have to highlight the first point comes out from the y-intercept bar. The second point, you have to go through the slope of the line, how many units rise, how many units run, and this will complete this. This is part of how to graph by using the general equation without using the table of values. After we're done with the student book, we need to move forward to the next part of our lesson, applying this on the workbook. So please open up your workbook on lesson A3. Here we have to complete and answer this question one by one. Please prepare your pencil and stick with me. The first part of the workbook, this first page on the left hand side in your workbook, take note. Slope intercept form. We need to complete all this information according to what we had before. So the equation y, we need to write down in the first box here that the equation y equal mx plus b is the slope intercept form. And this is form, m stands for the slope of the line and b stands for the y-intercept bar, So move next to this definition of the slope. Slope equals the change over change, and there is 2 boxes before. You can write down here y change over x change over, or we can write down another thing which is vertical change over horizontal change. All are the same meaning, which is on the right hand side. We can complete this and fill this boxes by y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, and this will complete the answer for the slope definition. We need to move to the next part, which is y-intercept of the line. As the y-intercept is the constant of the equation y equal mx plus b, which is the distance from the 0 to the intersection point with the y-axis. We need to move to the next example of the workbook, example number 1, which states here, using the rise and run to find out the slope. Find the slope of the line. We need to look at the graph on the right hand side and we need to fill up this space. So here the slope, rise over run, according to the definition which we had at the beginning of the session, the rise will be 6 units and the run will be 3 units, but you have to be careful because the rise is down, that means it's -6, and the run, it's gonna be goes to the right, that means it's positive. So the final result will be -6 over 3, which is -2, So the rise -6 and the run 3. Move to the next question, which is quick check. Find the slope of the line. By using the rise over run strategy. So slope equal rise over run. I have to identify how many units rise and how many units run. Here I'm gonna start off from the intersection point, which is down here. This is point here. I'm gonna use this point here. So I'm gonna start off from this point all the way up. This is the rise. How many units is gonna be? Let me count it. It's gonna be considered as 0. This is 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's gonna be 4 units. And the run will be just 1 unit to the right. So rise up means positive, run right means positive. So it's gonna be 4 over 1, and here is gonna be 4. So I'm gonna write down here 4. In this case, I'm gonna write down 4, and I'm gonna write down here 1. So the final result will be 4 over 1. That will be the slope of the line according to the rise over run strategy. We need to move to the next page of the workbook, which is example using the coordinates to find the slope. Find out the slope of the line. This time I'm going to use the in this case we are going to use the slope strategy by using the differences of y over the differences of x, which it changes is in y over change in x. So I'm going to use y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So I'm going to highlight E, which is 7 and 5, by x1 y1, and F, which is x2 y2. So the slope equals this differences in y over differences in x coordinates. So here y2 minus 1 over x2 minus x1. The y2 where is it? It's going to be 0. y2 is going to be 0. And minus y1 is going to be 5 over x2 is going to be negative 2 minus 7. So the final result will be negative 5 over negative 9. In the simplest form will be 5 over 9. So the slope of the second equation number 2 is going to be 5 over 9 in the simplest form. Question number 3. Interpreting slope in a real world situations. A ramp slopes from a warehouse door down a street. The function y equal negative 1 over 5x plus 4 models the ramp where x stands for the horizontal distance in the feet from the bottom of the door and y the height in feet above the street. We need to use the standard form here to graph, which is y-intercept form, to graph the line through some steps. Step number 1, 2, and 3. We had this at the beginning of the session. So first of all, we need to identify the y-intercept. The y-intercept, according to the given example, is 4. So the point is 0 and 4. So I have to highlight the first point, which is 0 and 4. The second step is the slope. Slope is negative 1 over 4. So negative 1, I have to move down, then move right. Move down, then move right from the point 0 and 4. So I have to move 1 unit down from 0 and 4, and then 5 units to the right to find out the other point. Once I identify the 2 points 0 and 4, and the other point comes from the rise and run, by using my ruler and pencil, I can highlight. I can draw the line by lining up the 2 points. And this can be easy for you. You can do it by yourself. We need to move to the next part. Next question here in the same page. Quick check. Find out the slope of the line through the points V, 8 and negative 1. The other point Q is 0 and negative 7. So I'm going to use the mathematical formula M equals y2 minus 1 over x2 minus x1. So here I can label the points. So I'm going to say y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So it's going to be negative 7, negative 1, which is plus 1 over 0 minus 8. So the final result would be negative 6 up over negative 8 down. The simplest form would be 3 over 4. So the slope of the line that passes through the point V and Q is going to be 3 over 4. We reach to the last part of our lesson, which is graphing the equation by using the given form, the y-intercept form. The first one, which is a equals y equal to x minus 3. The second one is y equal negative x plus 4. The first one, we have to highlight 2 things. The first thing is the y-intercept, which is negative 3. So I have to go down from 0, 3 units down on the y-axis, and highlight the first point, which is 0 and negative 3. The slope is 2 over 1, which is rise 2 up and 1 unit to the right. So I'm going to start off from negative 0 and 3. I'm going to go up 2 units and then move to the right 1 unit. And I highlight this point. Once you highlight the first point and second point, use the ruler and pencil, line up the 2 points. They will get you the line. The second question, which is B, y equal negative x plus 4. I have to highlight and identify 2 things. The first thing is the y-intercept part, which is 4. So the intersection point will be 0 and 4. So I have to start from 0, move up to the point 4 at the y coordinates, and then highlight the first point, which is 0 and 4. Then I have to highlight the slope. The slope is negative 1 over 1. So I have to rise down 1 unit, then move to the right another unit. This will give me the other point. Once I highlight the 2 points, and then I'm gonna line up the 2 points by using the ruler and pencil. It will give me the line, and will complete the lesson for today. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you understand everything here, guys. I hope you did good, inshallah, and inshallah I'm gonna meet you again in another video. Wait for me. Thank you for watching the video. Have a good day and good luck. Goodbye.